kings, we pound for pound. UFC thrills, stills nights get loud. Big EQB, that's how we get down.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it again. And yeah, another week, another podcast. But this week is better because we actually have UFC. Now, don't get me wrong. Last week was great. Had some guests in from Combat Sports Today, so thanks to those guys. A little bit of a different episode last week, but and it was fun. I had a good time. It's always nice to have new people in, joining in on the show and getting to fight talk with them and stuff like that. Podcasting, well, maybe not podcasting, but all the good combat sports stuff. That was fun. I had a good time, and I'm glad I appreciate them for joining me and hanging out for a couple hours. Actually, we talked a lot. It was fun. So had a good time with that. At least, especially because we didn't have a UFC last weekend. There wasn't a whole lot going on, so it was like the perfect time to have other people in. So I had a good time with that one. This week we finally got the UFC back. I say finally, it was 1 week off. But that's me. I'm the UFC guy. I like UFC. I like everything else too, but when it seems like when the UFC's off, no one takes full advantage and there's not a whole lot else going on. So it's kind of weird. It's like somebody would jump in, especially on the days that the UFC has off. Probably be a good idea, and probably have more people tuning into your stuff at that time because everyone's wanting the UFC. But who knows? Maybe somebody will come in and fill that gap at some point in time. Other than that, though, yeah, we had a good time with that last week. Also last week, it was a pretty big week last week for me altogether, especially with the show. I got my first fighter interview. If you guys haven't seen that, go check it out. After everything's said and done, I'll throw a card in here, in the video, later, so you can, head straight to it and check out that interview if you haven't seen it yet. But I got to interview Daniel James, from used to be a Bellator PFL fighter, now making his debut in Ryzen. He's going to be in the heavyweight Grand Prix, so that'll be exciting. And that was great, man. I can't. I'm sure if you were here last week, you heard me talking about how excited I was and happy I was to have done it. It was probably like the best situation possible to have a first interview. So what up, Clark? Clark's in the chat. Appreciate you jumping in, bro. But yeah, so I got to do my first fighter interview. So that was fun, and that's all because I did a collaboration with Combat Sports Today, and that's why I had those. Well, that's not the only reason why, but that's part of the reason why I had them on last week. So I'm happy to be kind of collabing with them and working with them. Hopefully, we get some more interviews coming soon. It's like I got the bug. That one went well, and I got the nerves out of the way. For the most part, the first time nerves, I guess. So now I'm waiting to see if I get another one, because that was fun, and I just been thinking about it. It's one of those things. And then the best, the coolest part about it is I got to meet all these new people. I got new people supporting me and stuff like that. And they like my stuff, so that's always nice to hear, and a fun thing to be able to interact with some new people about the sport and all of combat sports, really. And then I'm just learning stuff here and there, and it's all good stuff. And on top of that, the outcome of the interview too was cool. I saw that Ryzen actually mentioned me in their Instagram post on their account, and on top of that, it got mentioned in a bunch of other stuff. Combat Sports, posting it everywhere too, so that was dope. I support you. Clark, he says, I support you like a jockstrap on fight night. That's funny shit. Yes, Clark is definitely the homie that is down all the time, because he's always supporting me, and I appreciate that shit. Because he's always calling and asking me and seeing what's up and supporting me. So gotta love having friends like that. So I appreciate you, Clark. What's up, MMA Foo in the chat? What's going on, brother? 305 Chunks. What's up, bro? What's more likely, Conor returning or John Jones versus Aspinall? At this point, it's a fucking toss up. It doesn't sound like either one of them's happening. That's a lot. There's just so much drama and so many things going on right now in MMA. It's just like so many rumors, speculations, all kinds of shit going on. And the John Jones and Tom Aspinall thing is one of them. So, I mean, at this point, I don't even know. Like, it's like we sit here and wonder all the time. And it's just like, is this ever going to happen? But that's John Jones. That's what he does. He wants to do things on his own time, whether people like it or not. I mean, we know he had beef with Dana back in the day. With stuff like that, and when he was gonna fight, and he was holding out for this, holding out for that. Sounds like he's holding out for money now. I mean, he's getting to the end of his career. So it seems that's what he's talking a lot about. So I think that he's definitely holding out for the money. He wants that big payday, and he doesn't want to have to go anywhere else to get it because he's the champ. He's holding the strap, and he's the baddest man on the planet. If you think about it, when it comes to, thinking about that definition, like the UFC is the biggest organization. The heavyweight division's always the one that people put that title on. So, yeah, pound for pound, he's not number one on the pound for pound list right now, though. I think Islam Makhachev is. So, whether that's true or not, I mean, we know how the rankings go. That might Infinity. What's up, Infinity? He said jockstrap. Oh my God. Infinity's another homie that likes to support all the time too, and I appreciate that because he's always here interacting in the chat too. So appreciate that. I always like to shout out the people that are here a lot and have been supporting me since the beginning. So it's always cool to have people like that. But the Conor thing, I don't know. We saw some stuff going around today, or not today, but this week, with Conor saying, get that contract out and put some new ink on it. And, Chandler responded saying, let's go, unfinished business, loading. So who knows? Are they just starting the rumors up again to, Conor likes to get his name out there. We haven't heard anything from him in the past couple weeks. So he's got to get something out there. So that's what I feel like. I kind of feel like that's what he's doing. But who knows? Maybe he's actually thinking about it again. But we've done this over and over and over again with Conor. It's even worse with Conor than it is with John Jones. So I don't know. 305 Chunks, your guess is as good as mine, bro. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's hopefully get some actual news, like actual tidbits of something soon that might give us an idea. So some quick fight talk real quick before I get into the rest of my stuff. Before we dive real deep in, when the visuals come out, that's when we're getting deep in it. I gotta take a sip though real quick. And before I forget one thing, a couple things before I forget, but I'm gonna start with my sponsor. I gotta give a shout out to my sponsor, Noctane Smelling Salts. They sponsor me and support me, so I appreciate that. It's a good product. I love it. And I use it all the time. Not in a dangerous way. I just once a day or so when I need a little pick me up and get alert. I like to take a sniff, so I'm gonna do that right now. It's gonna be rough though. Ooh, I got two in a row. There we go. Now that looks like it's harsh, and it is, but I have the most potent bottle. They have lesser potencies. Go check out the website, hit that QR code. There's a link in the description as well. And yeah, thanks to Noctane for the smelling salts and the sponsorship and stuff. I appreciate that. I always got to give them the shout out and throw that QR code up there. Go get yourself some. I promise you, you're gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be tough at first, and then you're gonna like showing it to your friends and having them try it. Believe me and Clark and Infinity have all kinds of fun messing around with the smelling salts. All right, and the other little bit that I didn't want to forget, because I didn't do it last week because we had a busy show last week with a couple guests and stuff, so I wanted to focus on that. I kind of got wrapped up in talking. As you know, we went like 2 hours, so I actually think I forgot to do the sponsorship thing last week. Bad me. But I always have it in the description anyway. So if you ever not hear me talk about it or see the QR code pop up, the link's always in the description. So, and you know, on my thumbnails and stuff, it always says sponsored by Noctane. So the shout out's always there. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to show off a little bit is something that Clark got me, which is pretty dope. It is, oh man, it's gonna be, you know what? I'm gonna change my cameras and we're gonna do it like this, so I don't have so much light. There we go. Let's see, get that to focus. Come on. Well, it might not focus as well, but that is a Donald Cerrone Cowboy autograph card. It's UFC Hall of Fame, the Chrome Tops 2024 card, and we sent these out. He sent out a bunch of cards, and I sent this one out to get graded. So, and it actually is in damn, like, almost perfect condition. It got a Gem Mint 10, so it's pretty sick. Clark's the man. He's hooking me up because Cowboy's always been one of my favorite fighters. I've met him a couple times at the UFC fan expos. You can see behind my shoulder right there that I have one of the posters up there of when he fought Connor. I got a picture right down there that Clark actually printed out and framed for me as well. I got to put that up soon. Been trying to figure out how to display all this, but it's pretty sick. It's a perfect card. It's worth more than he bought it for now that we got it graded and stuff. So it's pretty dope. I'm sure you see Dana White on his Instagram and stuff, you know, doing like Rip It Fridays and showing off all kinds of crazy cards. So it's cool to have one that's pretty good, pretty damn good. Nothing better than a Gem Mint 10. Yep. I'm sure Clark has a few of those too. But yeah, Clark's wrapped up in the trading card game right now, looking for those good ones. So good luck, Clark. I hope you get some real good ones soon. I'm sure you're sitting on a few already, but appreciate that too, man. Much love going out to Clark for hooking me up with that card and sending it out to get graded and stuff too. So it's pretty dope. I appreciate that, especially when it's a fighter that I really like. It's one of my favorites. It's like Cowboy and Nate Diaz are two of the fighters you know I'm always going to appreciate something with them because they've always been some of my biggest my most favorite fighters. So, and I'll find a good spot to hang that up soon. But yeah, so other than that, that's about it. Like I said, last week was a busy one with the interview and then the guests on the show. It was fun. It was a good time. Looking forward to the next one, and just looking forward to working with Combat Sports Today even more. MMA Fool was in the chat, so he's one of the guys that was on the show last week. Go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. We had lots of fight talk and lots of insight into interviewing and Combat Sports Today's channel. Go subscribe to them as well. You can see my interview there. I posted it on this channel as well. You can wear it around your neck like dumb Logan Paul. That would be funny. But no, I think I'll just display it and make it nice and neat and let it sit there. So yeah, go check those out. Subscribe to their channel as well. Support them, please. And you'll hopefully see me popping up on there a little more. But that's it. Let's get into some fight talk because that's what we're here to do. And like I said, there's some drama going on, a couple announcements, a big boxing match this weekend, and then we got UFC Kansas City happening Saturday as well. That's a pretty damn good card, so we definitely got to dive into that one. And I'm just enjoying my old fashioned today because I'm like, damn. Oh, thanks, Foo. Appreciate that. Let's get into Combat Sports news. Starting with, and I'm gonna get the silliness out of the way first. I know some people get a little upset with the Jake Paul news, but I mean it's always something to talk about because you know Jake Paul's on his venture of trying to become a real boxer apparently. And I give him props for everything he's done. I always do. That's the thing. But, you know, he tends to keep fighting these opponents that people don't see fit. And I'm not sure he'll ever get the respect he's looking for. But he's still doing the damn thing. We haven't heard from him in a little bit since he fought. Who did he fight last? Mike Perry? I think. Was it Mike Perry? I don't even know anymore. But, you know, oh no, Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. Mike Tyson. He fought Mike Perry before that. But yeah, the Mike Tyson thing, you know, it was like this, that. It was weird. People hated it. Nobody really loved it. The fight wasn't the best. You know, Mike went out there looking tired and old, biting his glove, doing weird shit. So that sucked. But yeah, I mean, Jake Paul got the win regardless, and we haven't heard from him really since then. So now he announces that he's fighting Julio Ceasar Chavez Jr., who has fought on the undercard of his before with MVP Productions and stuff. And now this is a MVP and Golden Boy Productions. They're teaming up to do this event on DAZN. So Jake Paul versus Julio Ceasar Chavez Jr. happening Saturday, June 28th. I don't know. This one kind of went under the radar, you know, like nobody really made a big deal about this. I heard about it in a couple places. Mostly just saw it on the on social media. That was really it. We saw Chavez Jr. fight Anderson Silva, and that was one of those. It was one of those okay fights. I mean, he lost to Silva. Silva looked really good in that fight. So, and then, you know, Chavez Jr., though, I mean, he's the son of a legend, but him himself, I don't know. He's got some skills, obviously, because he is the son of a legend, like I said, but, you know, he hasn't shown a whole lot as far as, you know, crazy talent like you would think coming from the family. But, you know, he's a respectable boxer, and Jake Paul's, you know, kind of trying to pick off people with names, I guess, and that's what he's doing again. So that's happening on June 28th. Go check that one out if you want. I mean, Chavez Jr.'s record is 54-6-1 with 34 KOs. Jake Paul is 11-1 with 7 KOs. But, you know, you got the age difference. You got all kinds of stuff in the mix there. So Chavez Jr. has the experience, obviously, but when it comes down to it, Jake Paul has been knocking people out, and except for his last fight. But, you know, he's been doing a little bit of work and looking like he's getting better and better, or trying to. So we'll see if he can keep that up and keep that streak going. Not sure how this is going to work. Not sure what the undercard's going to look like, but, you know, he's doing it again, and we got a couple months before it heads here. So we'll see if they ramp up the promotion and really get it going, because, again, for most of the time when it comes to a Jake Paul fight, you see all kinds of shit everywhere, and this time you didn't really see a lot of that. So it's a little bit weird. So yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the hell happens here. I've been watching that Paul American show. It's like their docu-series, like the reality style TV show. I think it's on Max. I've been watching that, and, you know, it's a little bit of insight into, you know, behind the scenes of like how the fights got put together with Jake Paul and his opponents. Like, they, you know, they talked about all of his older fights, and they showed the lead up to, or, you know, the Mike Tyson pulling out, the lead up to Mike Perry, the fight with Mike Perry, and how that all went down. So, I mean, it is interesting. I do like watching stuff like that. And, you know, I know the Paul brothers are a lot of people are annoyed with them all the time and don't really want to watch more than they need to of them. But it's a somewhat interesting show. You know, Logan Paul has I've never been much of a fan of his either, but, you know, it shows all of him being in the WWE and all the stuff behind the scenes there. His fight with Dylan Dennis and all the lead up to that was interesting, just because hearing from Nina Agdal's point of view with the barrage of hate and vitriol that came from Dennis over social media about her, and all the behind the scenes stuff was insane. So, I mean, we all saw it happen and unfold on Twitter and stuff, but it just the effects it had on them, you know, unless they're hamming it up, but you know how that goes. It's reality TV, so they're getting the drama up there. But she was also pregnant through part of that and stuff, so who knows. There's a lot of things being said in that show, and I understand where they're coming from a little bit, because when somebody's that relentless and stupid, it's kind of hard to ignore after a while when it's just nonstop. So I get it, But it's somewhat of an interesting show if you have nothing else to watch. If you want to just get a little backstory, a little insight into how these guys work things and how they run. I'm sure most people are probably talk about how, oh, they're just, you know, they're just being on camera still, so it's not real. But they do go into a few things that you can tell is there's some feelings and stuff behind it, and everyone's got to be real every now and again. There's shades of realness in there. So I'll probably keep watching here and there. I'm always interested just because I've been covering Jake Paul stuff, and when Logan fights, I cover it a little bit too. It's just, you know, it's there. I'm covering it. That's all there is to it. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. There's always drama around it, so it's something to talk about sometimes when there's not a whole lot else. But yeah, so check out that show, Paul American, on Max. I'm pretty sure that's where it is, and it's not half bad, honestly. If you can handle watching them for a little bit here and there, space it out. It's not too horrible. So I'm not gonna vouch too much for it, but yeah. All right, let's move on to the real boxing happening this weekend. We got Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. This is a big fight. For this, if you know the history, if you know the backstory, and if you just know these two guys as boxers, I don't dive too deep into boxing and everything that comes with it like I do MMA and UFC especially, but I still like to, you know, cover and talk about some of the boxing matches that happen, because especially the big ones like this, because I've heard a lot about these guys. You know, they had a fight lined up before in 2022. It was supposed to happen in October of 2022, and that got nixed because Conor Benn dropped for clomiphene, and he of course said he had tainted eggs. He said he was eating a lot of eggs because that was the best thing for, you know, keeping on weight. But apparently he says they were tainted, and that's how he dropped dirty for that. Who knows? You know, that was way back in 22. And now that they rescheduled that fight and had some press conferences and stuff, I'm not sure if you saw the show that I did on with that involved, but there was some drama there because Chris Eubank Jr. they went face to face and did the face off, and Eubank decided that he was gonna pull some eggs out of his jacket pocket and slap the shit out of Conor Benn with them, which was entertaining. Don't get me wrong, it was fucking entertaining. And then, you know, later down the road, KSI kind of mimicked that with slapping Dylan Dennis in the face with a pancake. No real anything behind that one, just being a dick. Funny because you're watching Dylan Dennis get smacked is funny, but yeah, Infinity says Eubank for the win for sure. That's what I feel like is gonna happen here. I think he's the bigger guy. I think he's a little sharper with the skills, and I mean, strength of schedule looks like his is a little better than Benn's, and he's definitely faster and stronger, it seems like, from everything that I've seen, and he's got a lot more experience and stuff. But these two guys also are the sons of two boxers from back in the day that oh, Infinity's trying to bet Clark already. But yeah, Chris Eubank Senior fought what is Conor Benn's dad's name? I don't remember off the top of my head, but his dad, they fought each other and they had bad blood back then as well, but just maybe not as much as they do now. So I'm trying to find his name. Conor Benn's dad, what is his dad's name? That's gonna bug me because I just Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Senior fought each other back in the day. So yeah, they, you know, there's history there and stuff like that. There's other stuff in the mix because, you know, Conor Benn has the support of all his family, his dad and stuff like that, is everybody in his corner. And Chris Eubank just kind of chills by himself. He's solo dolo, man. Him and his dad don't get along. There's some friction there. Eubank talked about wanting to just have his dad there as his dad, like not even as his trainer. Doesn't really have to even be in his corner. He'd just like to have him around. And that's not happening, because recently, I think this week, Chris Eubank Sr. went on an interview and talked about how his son was a disgrace, basically, for his antics at the press conferences and all the stupid things to him that he's doing. But man, calling your son a disgrace on the internet for everybody to see, including your son, I mean, that's like a private conversation. If you want to have that, that's fucked up too. The problems that you have within each other don't have to be thrown out like that. But he keeps getting asked the question, as to why he's not in the corner, why he's not going to be there, why he's not supporting his son. And he's just telling people that his son's a disgrace for all of his actions and antics. And it's just kind of fucked up, man. So allegedly there's some kind of maybe some mental health issues going on there. Maybe that's part of the problem with their relationship and stuff. So there's a lot going on in the background with these two fighters and everything that comes with this fight. So it's finally happening on Saturday. And it's a pay-per-view. I think it's only $24 or $29.95 to buy it. I doubt I'll buy it. It's on DAZN. Is where you can watch it and purchase it. But I'll definitely be looking for the highlights. I feel like there's gonna be some fireworks, because these two have bad blood, especially with the press conference stuff. These guys don't seem like the type to do all that and then get in the ring and just circle each other. I feel like they might feel each other out for a minute, but I think there's gonna be some haymakers thrown, and they're both gonna be going at it. I don't think either one of them are really counter strikers for the most part. I think both of them like to push forward and put the pressure on. So we'll see how it plays out on Saturday. As you can see on the screen, if you're watching, there's the undercard there, a few other fights happening. Let me see if I can. Looks like, let's see, Liam Smith versus Aaron McKenna in the middleweight division. Light heavyweight is Anthony Yarde versus Lyndon Arthur. Cruiserweight, Chris Billum Smith versus Brandon Glanton. And cruiserweight, Vidal Riley versus Shavon Clark. So those are your undercard fights there. And you can check that out on Saturday if you are a boxing fan or just want to check out how this all plays out, because just look into it a little bit. The Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, backstory, drama, history, their dads and all that. It's all interesting, man, and crazy how it's playing out, and we'll see how the fight ends up. And there is a possibility probably more than a possibility for a second fight, because they have a rematch clause in there from what I'm hearing. So that's something else to keep an eye out for, because a lot of times, you get that big crazy fight or crazy quick knockout, and then they gear up for that rematch. So it's definitely interesting and should be entertaining. So we'll see how that goes. Here's a little bit of tail of the tape stuff for you. Eubank Jr. he's on 35, so he's pushing the upper age of his career. Sounds like everything I've heard sounds like this might be them, him getting towards the end of his career here. So he might be looking to get some big wins against someone who he doesn't respect much. The younger fighter, Conor Benn, being 28 years old, looking to make a statement with this win. So 37 fights for Eubank, 23 for Benn, 34-23 as far as wins. Conor Benn is undefeated, so Chris Eubank Jr. is looking to take that O away from him. So that's interesting as well. Another thing to throw into the mix of everything this fight has to offer. 25 knockouts for Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn has 14. So yeah, they're pretty even for the most part. Looks like in height, Eubank has the reach advantage. So there you go. There's that middleweight fight happening Saturday, April 26th. And you can check that out if you want. Seems like it could be an interesting one for sure. Let's move on to, if you're a wrestling fan, WrestleMania happened last weekend, and there was a lot of stuff going on in WrestleMania. There was all kinds of UFC fighters like Israel Adesanya. I think Tai Tuivasa was there. Volkanovski was there. I think all kinds of fucking people were there. It's just stars upon stars, combat sports and entertainment people everywhere. So, and Dana White was there too. And as you can see here, he got booed a couple times. Every time they showed him on the screen, he got booed. And I don't know what that's coming from, except for, the shit that he talked back in the day about WWE and Vince McMahon and all that shit. I mean, it seems like he's always had some kind of respect there for the whole thing. But, he's had WWE fighters come over and fight in the UFC, including, more notable, obviously, Brock Lesnar, who became a champion and a lot of people respect in the fight game. But he also had CM Punk come over, who was not so successful, but still, a lot of people were invested in all that. And I'm not sure that anyone else. There's been a couple MMA fighters that fought in the UFC that have gone over and made, somewhat of a career for themselves in wrestling. I can't think of them off the top of my head at the moment, but I know there's a couple. But yeah, I just thought it was, watching Dana White handle it was funny. I mean, the look on his face here is pretty much says it all. It's just kind of funny watching him get booed while he's on the big screen. And he's just like, I mean, he really doesn't give a shit, because that's Dana White. He doesn't give a fuck what you think or what you say. It's all about him. And so who knows why he was even there. Maybe they asked him to be there. They're all under the same banner now. TKO, all owned by TKO. So there's going to be a lot of this kind of stuff happening. And also, if the WWE's already at Netflix, if the UFC winds up over there too, then they got that in common. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of things that get intermingled here. So I was just surprised to see Dana White. I know he's been there before, when like Ronda made her debut over there and was getting to be a big deal. So yeah, I mean, I just thought it was kind of funny and interesting that he got booed by everybody. It was just funny to me. I don't know. Dana, it's funny to watch him deal with it, because he doesn't give a shit, but at the same time it's like, does he? He might not, but he might. Probably not. So, little change up here, a little bit more of kind of on a sad note, because I talked about before, I covered BJ Penn, who was kind of having a little bit of a mental break, allegedly, at least, because he's saying that basically the government in Hawaii has assassinated his family, his mom, his brother, so far the ones I've heard him talk about, and that they cloned them or put actors in their place. He showed pictures of differences between old pictures of his mom and his brother and their body, and how they're shaped, and attributes like teeth and moles and markings and stuff that he knows that his actual family had. And he highlighted the fact that they don't have those anymore and that they all act weird towards him. But I mean, this is the kind of stuff that happens when somebody starts kind of losing it, right? Whether it be CTE, just mental health stuff, maybe drug use, who knows? There's a lot of factors here that could be in play, but it just sucks to see somebody, because BJ Penn has always been a favorite of mine as well, from the old school. That's definitely one of the guys that I started watching from the beginning when I started watching MMA. So it just sucks to see any of the greats go down like this. And I mean, obviously it would be a bad thing if everything he was saying was correct, but it's also a bad thing if it's not correct. It's almost worse, because it's just delusion. He's delusional, and now he's taking aim at people outside of his family, including Brendan Schaub. Funny enough. Now, this might have just been something planted in a seed planted in his head through social media stuff, because people have always said that Brendan Schaub looks a lot like Aaron Hernandez, and obviously Aaron Hernandez being the famous football player from the Patriots who wound up getting sentenced to prison for murder. and and famously took his own life because, and then they let's see, how do I explain this? They basically looked into his brain and saw that he had one of the worst cases of CTE that they've ever seen. So all of the crazy behavior, all of the stuff that he did, they say was probably because of the CTE. So there's been a lot of docu-series and documentaries and stuff about Aaron Hernandez and everything he went through, which is pretty crazy. So if you go check those out, those are interesting to see what kind of stuff they talk about with that and what he was going through. But CTE is a big thing in football, obviously, but also in combat sports, because they always talk about the boxers being punch drunk, and getting dementia when they get older due to all the blows to the head and all that stuff. So I mean, it's a big deal, right? But BJ's claiming CTE is fake. He says we live in a fantasy world of illusion. A world of illusion. The great, what does that say? Man, it's hard to read. Great mask of life is finding reality. The great task of, I don't even know, man. It's tough to even make sense of what he says half the time. I gotta blow this up so I can read it, because it looks a little bit hard to read on the screen right where it is right now. So I'm gonna blow it up here, just so because I'm curious as to what that actually says. Oh, the great task of life is finding reality. That's what it says. So in his quote on this one, he posted the video showing Brendan Schaub flexing, as you can see in the picture on the right, and then Aaron Hernandez flexing, the picture and on the right as well. Yeah, Infinity, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I didn't think he would ever become that way either, but he's had a lot of issues with alcohol abuse and I think some drug abuse and stuff like that too. So who knows, between that and the possible CTE, definitely took a lot of blows to the head, especially at the end of his career. He should have ended his career a lot sooner than he did. So he took a lot of damage that he probably shouldn't have. But in his caption for this post, he said, CTE is a way for sports leagues to say expensive athletes in their 30s have brain damage and need to retire, and then pay young no-name athletes peanuts. It is about the money. It's about the money. Is brain damage real? I'm sure it is. Is punch drunk real? I'm sure it is. Is slurred speech real? I'm sure it is. And that's all he had to say with that. When do you usually go live, my bro? Oh, 305 Chunks. It's always Thursday at 7 p.m. Arizona time. I'm in Arizona, so 7 p.m. on Thursdays is when I go live, always. And then we do watch parties for the pay-per-views whenever possible. I try to do them as much as possible. So whenever pay-per-views are on and that main card starts, I go live then as well. And I usually have some guests in the studio too. So check that out too. But yeah, Thursdays, just make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. It'll always tell you when I go live. But yeah, Thursdays at 7 is my normal time. So, but yeah, and then Brendan Schaub responded to this and he reacted a little bit. I mean, here's some pictures up at the top. That's Brendan more nowadays on the very top picture. The lower right is him when he was fighting. As you can see, he had the shaved head and stuff, so he looked a little closer to Aaron Hernandez, and that's Hernandez there on the left in court. But Brendan had this to say: when they told me it was BJ, I just figured it was another Real Housewives of MMA drama, doing it for attention, but it's hilarious. I put a laughing emoji on the post, and then Mayhem Miller reached out to me and was like, dude, this isn't a joke. He legit thinks you're Aaron Hernandez. And I was like, oh, well, you took the air out of my sails and it's not funny anymore. I was going to... Hold on 1 second. Hello? Oh, I thought somebody was knocking on my door. He said, I was going to repost it and had some jokes, but it's more sad than anything. With BJ stuff, I never had fun with it. Like, this dude needs help. This doesn't end well. It's a shame to see because he's a legend. And that's exactly how I feel. He's a legend. It sucks to see this happening. and I hope he gets help soon before anything worse happens. You know, he talked about possibly hurting his family, but he knew he couldn't do that because he said he would get in more trouble, which he would get in trouble either way, but he thinks he'd get in even more trouble because supposedly they're clones for the government. So yeah, you can see how that goes. It's crazy, but hopefully he gets some help soon and gets it all worked out. So that's it for that. Let's go into the last bit of MMA kind of drama and news going on. DDP, Dricus du Plessis, the current middleweight champion, was you know, rumored to have a fight with Khamzat Chimaev for International Fight Week. Everyone was running with that. It seemed like that was the truth. It seemed like that was legit going to be what happened, but there was no confirmation from the UFC or anybody else. Khamzat was talking about it and everything like that. And I'm sure that was just wishful thinking on his part, because he definitely deserves that title fight, I think, for the most part. But he definitely wants that title fight. So, but yeah, and then all these rumors started about DDP being injured and pulling out of the fight. And it's like, well, how do you pull out of a fight that wasn't even fully confirmed yet? Like, that hadn't even been put out there by the UFC or anything like that. So these rumors about him being injured, something about possibly a leg injury, all kinds of different stuff was floating around the internet. So Khamzat responded and said, "This guy, biggest bullshit." And if you know Khamzat, that's exactly what he would say. The look on his face says it all. You know, responding to Dricus, and then he went on a, you know, little bit of a tirade about this, that, and the other thing, and how Dricus is this and that, how he's scared, he's ducking, all this other shit, right? So DDP responded and said, "Let's take a look at the last plus or minus two and a half years and tell me who's bullshit." So he shows his record being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, 6 of his last fights being wins, including winning the title and defending it. I mean, he's fought Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya. He beat Sean Strickland the first time for the belt. Beat Robert Whittaker, Derek Brunson, Darren Till. So, you know, that's a hell of a record against formidable, you know, like real good opponents. And then you got Khamzat, who fought Robert Whittaker, of course, and that was a hell of a fight. He got the win there, but then he had a canceled fight. Fought Usman, won there by majority decision. Before that, 2 canceled fights, and then and one of those being because he missed weight and stuff, but he still fought Kevin Holland and beat him. But, you know, Dricus is just pointing out the consistency and the reason why he's the champ right now. So Khamzat has a lot of hype around him. And the biggest thing, though, is the fact that, you know, it doesn't seem like he's able to fight in the U.S. as easily as everybody else is. So that seems to be the biggest problem here. And now everyone's suspecting that the fight's being pushed because Khamzat probably can't get in the country, so they're going to push it to like October time, when they usually do like Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia or something, and do the fight then. But who knows, because, you know, DDP did respond, but before that, Kyle Borjalho jumped in and also showed his record with 4 wins in a row. And he said, "Last 4 Russians on my record. This time is going to be no different. I'm ready." And he's calling out for an interim title fight with Khamzat Chimaev. He said, "I know a guy, UFC, you know who to call. Interim?" And he said, Khamzat said, "Yes, the only thing that makes sense is the interim belt. The fight is going to be bigger than him versus Dricus. Mark my word." So yeah, I mean, that doesn't seem to be the way it's going to go. I don't think that's what's going to happen. But Kyle has, I mean, he has a hell of a, DDP isn't injured, he posted this morning. Exactly, fool. I'm getting to that right now. But Kyle would be, I don't know that he's fully ready yet. I think he should probably fight like one more fight. But I mean, he's shown all kinds of talent and all kinds of shit going on. And his fights are great. So he's been doing well. I can see why he's calling for a belt, even an interim belt. But as MMA Foe said in the chat, he's on top of things because DDP posted this morning saying, "Okay, so everyone had their opinions and rumors and stories about a shin break and injuries, etc. I found it all very entertaining. Unfortunately, none of it is true. Myself and UFC already discussed a fight date and opponent. The June fight was never signed. I did not pull out of any fight. I am a champion. I know when I fight. As the contender, just show up when we tell you to. Fight announcement coming soon. Stay tuned. So there's DDP telling everybody to shut the fuck up about it because it isn't true. Now, we know all kinds of shit happens in the background, so you never really know what's true and what's not. Sometimes the UFC shuffles things around and they kind of make things happen or say things to make sure that it happens the way they wanted to cover other events. Is that what's happening here? I don't know. It could have just been the rumor mill and people took it and ran with it, like Hamzat, who's looking for the fight. Who knows? But Drickus says he's got fight announcement coming soon. So we'll see what that has and who his next opponent's going to be. There's some good fights in there for him, and I'm not sure exactly who they'll match him up with, but everybody seems to be really high on that Hamzat fight. I wouldn't mind seeing that fight myself. So we'll see what comes of that. And that's it. I mean, that's pretty much it for everything I got for that right now. I mean, the other stuff that was happening was what I was talking about in the intro with John Jones and Aspinall. You know, there's all kinds of rumors going on with that. It's just tough to know and what's true and what's not true, you know. It gives us something to talk about when there's all these rumors and stuff, but I make 1,000% sure to say that they're rumors and all that, because you just never know. I like to see the confirmation, even though confirmation from the UFC sometimes doesn't absolutely mean everything, because then stuff goes downhill and they change things up anyway. But at least if you see the confirmation from the UFC, you know what's planned to be happening, at least. So like I said, we never saw that for Hamzat versus Drickus. We just saw rumored to be happening, and that was it. So now DDP says that fight was never even signed. But I mean, that could have other meanings too, you know. It could just mean that they talked about it. Maybe they had Hamzat in the mix of talking about it, trying to make it all work, and that's why Hamzat thought it was legit and 100%, and that he pulled out because they didn't give him a date or anything like that. But you never know. So we just have to wait and see what's announced, what happens when the official announcement happens. Sometimes you just can't even count on it until that official announcement happens. So let's get to UFC Kansas City happening this weekend. Ian Machado Gary versus Carlos Prates. The Fighting Nerds making another appearance, ready to get another win against big opponent though, Ian Machado Gary. I mean, a lot of people don't like him for whatever reasons. You know, maybe he's too maybe he's overconfident, maybe he's the shit that the rumors and things you hear outside of the cage about him being this, that, or the other thing, stuff with his wife and stuff like that. Who knows? Who really cares? Anything I've seen from the guy, I can understand why people might not like him. You know, he does come off a little brash, but he's Irish, and he hangs around a lot of Brazilians. So it's one of those things. They got that confidence, man. Look at Conor. Look at a lot of the Brazilian guys out there, but a lot of them seem to be a little more humble about it. Conor's always been just, you know, completely out there in your face about everything. So Ian kind of does a little bit of all of it, but he's definitely confident in himself, and he's proven it with his fights in the past. Yeah, he's had a couple here and there that people were like, what happened with that? You know, like with MVP. He lost to Shavkat for his first loss ever, or in the UFC. But, you know, he still puts up a great fight, and he's still a great fighter. And, you know, he was kind of looking for the title fight as well. But I think this is a good matchup against Prates because, you know, Prates has been on a tear, man. He's been on a tear. And the Fighting Nerds in general, those four guys, John Silva, Kyle Borjalio, Mauricio Rufy, I mean, damn, those guys are fucking killing it right now. So even if they go to decision, the fight's fun to watch. And that's the thing with these guys. They got that thing. They got that star power right now. And with the whole gimmick of the Fighting Nerds and the glasses and stuff, they got all kinds of shit going on for them right now, and it's good. They just added, we talked about it last week, Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is an official member of the team now. They got a couple other people in there, but those four guys are the main guys, and they definitely have all the hype right now for good reason. with all the fights that they've had. John Silva, you know, with that fight against Bryce Mitchell, everything else he's done before that, just all of them. Rufy with that crazy spinning wheel kick knockout, just damn, just all kinds of stuff to talk about with them. So this should be fun. Looks like Prates is ready to go. This was a short notice kind of fight, because let's see, how did this go down? I think Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree was supposed to be headlining this, but then Jamal Hill got injured again, because he's always injured with something. So that they needed to find another main event, and this is what they put in place, and I think it's a pretty damn good main event to replace it. I think they did it like 4 weeks in advance, or 4 weeks notice, I think. So it's not that close, but it's pretty close. So I mean, I feel like it's going to be a pretty good main event. The rest of this card is not bad either, especially with a lot of the fight nights we've had recently. They haven't been the best. A lot of them have been just maybe not boring, but just uneventful, kind of fucking lots of decisions that weren't even fun fights throughout. So UFC 314 was the first real good card this year, and I mean, I'm glad it was, because it's a pay-per-view, and then watching Volk get the belt back, watching Lopez, you know, just fight as hard as he did, Jean Silva, you know, choking out Bryce Mitchell, that was fun to watch. There was all kinds of shit that happened on 314. We talked about it a little bit last week, so go check that out if you want to hear a little more. But yeah, this card this week should be pretty fun. So let's get into that a little bit. We got the early beginning of the prelims here. Oh, okay. I thought my music wasn't going to start again. We got Chelsea Chandler versus Jocelyn Edwards starting off the prelims at bantamweight for the women's division. Chandler's 6-3, Edwards is 14-6. I believe Chandler is coming off a loss, to Yana Santos back in August of last year. She's been on kind of a lose-win streak. She had a bunch of wins in a row. She had a couple wins in a row to start off her UFC career, and then she lost to Norma Dumont, beat Jose Nunez, and then lost to Yana Santos in her last fight. Jocelyn Edwards, I believe, is coming off a win over Tamires Vidal. Before that, she was on a 2-fight losing streak. She had that beef with Aylin Perez. Chandler P standing up? Well, what the hell are you talking about, Infinity? Okay. But yeah, she had two losses in a row until her last fight, where she got a rear naked choke on Tamires Vidal. So she's coming off a win. Chandler's coming off a loss. These two pretty good fights usually with them. Chandler is always comes forward. So I mean, we'll see how that fight turns out. Then we got the men's featherweight division. Timmy Kuamba versus Roberto Romero. Kuamba is 8-3. Romero's 8-4. Next up, we got couple cuties here. Jacqueline Amorim versus Polyana Viana. That should be a pretty decent fight, I think. I mean, the women, it's always a toss-up, right? Like, you never know what you're gonna get with them, especially when they're on the lower cards. But sometimes you get surprised. And Amorim's really good on the ground. I think she has way more skills and is just a better fighter overall than Polyana Viana. Amorim's 9-1. Viana's 13-7. Look at her. Him. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about. I'm thinking Michael Chandler. I'm over here talking about Chelsea Chandler, and I'm thinking Michael Chandler when I read that. Okay, I got you, Infinity. So Amorim versus Viana. Go check out their Instagrams, because you won't regret that. I always gotta mention that. We got next up, we got Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cameron Simon in the men's bantamweight division. 8-0 for Wellmaker, so he's undefeated. It's been back and forth with the undefeated fighters, so we'll see if he can keep that O. And then you got Cameron Simon at 9-2. And in the men's bantamweight division there. Let's go to the rest of the prelim card. Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty good fights. I mean, a lot of recognizable names in these prelims, so not bad considering what we've had in the, you know, the past few fight nights. So Damon Blackshear versus oh man, this one is tough. Ala Tengeli, I think so. Something like that. Blackshear 16-7. Ellen Tejeli is 17-9. I'm probably butchering that name, but yeah, Blackshear is usually fun to watch, so I think that should be a good one. He's on a 2-fight win streak right now with 2 finishes in his past 2 fights, both by submission, against Cody Stamen and Cody Gibson. Good thing this guy's name isn't Cody, because that might be bad news for him. He seems to be beating all the Codys. But Ala Tengeli, I think. Fuck, I hope that's how you say it. He's 5-2 in the UFC. He's coming off a win as well, by unanimous decision. So that should be a decent fight there. Next up, we got Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. Gutierrez is 21-6. Castaneda is 21-7. Let's see. Gutierrez is coming off a win over Quang Lee, and Castaneda coming off a loss to Daniel Marcos. So that should be a fun one. Gutierrez is a fun guy to watch fight, so that should be pretty decent there. Next up is Evan Elder versus Gage Young. I think Gage Young is, yeah, coming off the Contender Series, off a loss too. That's kind of crazy. Looks like he got a fight in a regional event and got a win there by knockout or TKO. So now he's in the UFC making his debut against Evan Elder. They both have the same record. Oh, 9-2, 8-2, sorry. Evan Elder is 2-2 in the UFC, but he's on a 2-fight win streak. So he lost his first 2 in the UFC, and then has won his last 2. One by unanimous decision, one by arm triangle choke. So we'll see what this fight has for us. And then the last fight on the prelims is Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick, which apparently both these guys, I think I remember Matt Schnell retiring. I didn't know Flick had retired in the past too. So both these guys have retired at one point and then come back. So Matt Schnell though is 16-9. He lost his last 3 fights. Damn, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. Losing 2 of them by TKO and 1 by ninja choke. But that's over Cody Durden, Steve Erceg, and Mateusz Nicolau. So I mean, it's not like they're the easiest opponents ever. Pretty good competition there. So Matt Schnell coming back and fighting Jimmy Flick, who is 2-3 in the UFC, coming off a loss to Nate Maness by unanimous decision there. Had 1 fight out of the UFC in between some of his other fights. So yeah, looking like they're both coming back, trying to put together some wins. We'll see what they have for the main prelim fight on that card. Let's move on to the main card. We got Ikram Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz to start off the main card. Aliskerov's 15-2 overall, 2-1 in the UFC. Muniz is 24-6 overall, 6-2 in the UFC. I think Ikram, coming off the loss to Robert Whittaker, which Robert Whittaker looked damn good in that fight. So he's looking to bounce back after that first round TKO to Robert Whittaker. But I mean, Whittaker's a beast. He was on that losing streak though, so I'm sure Aliskerov was thinking he would keep him in that loss column, but Whittaker came out ready to go, looking like the Whittaker of old, and that was a damn good fight for Whittaker. So Aliskerov looking to turn it around here against Andre Muniz. If you look at, let's see, 6-1 to 4-5 on the KO TKOs, 5-0 by sub for Aliskerov, 15-1 in submissions for Andre Muniz. So he's definitely got way more wins in that submission column, but he does have one loss. Askarov's never been submitted, so this could be a fun fight on the ground if he gets there. They're both undefeated by decision, so if it goes to decision, it's definitely a toss-up because neither one of them have lost a decision. So that's interesting there for some stats. And yeah, we're looking at Askarov. His last wins came by TKO over Phil Haas and Worley Alves. So I mean, he's fought a couple decent guys there. So his 2 wins in the UFC have been by TKO. And then we have Andre Muniz. His last win was by split decision to the Iron Turtle, John Young Park. And then he lost to Paul Craig and Brendan Allen before that by ground and pound and rear naked choke. So rear naked choke, didn't it say? Oh yeah, that's his one. I'm sorry, we're looking at Muniz, not Askarov. So yeah, that's his one loss by submission is to Brendan Allen by rear naked choke. So yeah, I mean, if it gets to the ground, these guys are definitely going to put it on a show because both of them are pretty good on the ground. So let's see. Next up, we have my webpage here fucking is locking up on me. There we go. All right. So next up, we got Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. This should be a damn good fight, I think. I mean, Randy Brown, always fun to watch. He's always pressing forward, but Dalby's pretty similar in that manner. 170 for this one. We got 13-6 for Randy Brown in the UFC to Dalby's 7-4. Dalby's never been knocked out or submitted. Has 5 losses by decision and 12 wins by decision. So he wins by decision a lot there, but he has 7 KO TKOs and 4 subs. Randy Brown has 2 losses in all those categories. 7 wins as well by KO TKO, 5 wins by sub, and 7 wins by decision. They're both coming off a loss. This is happening in the welterweight division. Let's take a look at Brown's last fights. That loss he's coming off to is versus Brian Battle in December of last year. That was a pretty fun fight. I mean, I thought it was gonna be a bit crazier because both these guys like to throw, and I mean, it was a pretty good fight, but wound up being a split decision win for Brian Battle in that one. Before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak with 2 decision wins and 1 TKO. That TKO being over Muslim Selikov. He also fought Wellington Turman and Elizu Selesky that he got wins over as well. So, yeah, usually some action with Randy Brown, rude boy. But he's fighting Nicholas Dalby, and Dalby's last fight was a loss by split decision as well to Renat Fakhretdinov. So a couple close fights there. They could have gone either way, but yeah, he also had a win streak going on, 4-fight win streak before he got that loss to Fakhretdinov. Gabriel Bonfim, Muslim Selikov, Worley Alves, and Claudio Silva. So both these guys have fought some pretty good opponents and got some big wins off of them. 3 of those wins for Dalby were by decision. 1 was split, 2 were unanimous, and then the win over Bonfim was TKO, and that was a performance or a fight of the night for him on that one. Which, yeah, if I remember right, that was a pretty fun fight. November of 2023. He last fought in June of 24, so almost a year since Dalby's fought, and now he's fighting rude boy Randy Brown. That should be a fun one, I think. Both coming in looking to get a W after having some losses, so we'll see how that fight goes. Let's move on to another fight that should be pretty exciting because Michel Pereira is that dude that likes to fucking flip around, jump off the cage, and do all kinds of crazy shit. He's definitely active in that cage. He seems to have slowed it down a little bit recently, not doing so much crazy shit, but he still throws something crazy in there. He's always throwing flying knees and kicks, and if he gets real crazy, he starts flipping around and doing some weird wrestling moves. Even he did some crazy flip, and like as his opponent was on the ground, he just like jumped in the air and flipped and landed on him. Weird, but entertaining, I guess. It's definitely some action. But look at his overall record, 31-12. He's 31 years old. His opponent is Abus Magomedov, a little bit older than Pereira, 27-6 overall. We got 9-3 for Pereira in the UFC, 3-2 for Magomedov. Pereira's got 11 wins by KO, TKO, and 2 losses, 8-1 by sub, and 11-7 by decision. Both these guys have double-digit wins in the KO, TKO column, so that's pretty good. Maybe these guys will go at it on the feet. 14-2 for Magomedov, 7-2 by sub, and 6-2 by decision. Magomedov's on a 2-fight win streak. There we go. I thought I pushed the wrong button. Let's see. Magomedov has his last 2 wins, one by unanimous decision over Warley Alves, the other by arm triangle choke over Bruno Ferreira, both happening last year. So he's on that 2-fight win streak. He's lost to Kyle Baralio and Sean Strickland. So, I mean, his only 2 losses in the UFC are to pretty big names. And he had a fight of the night with Sean Strickland. So, I mean, you're going to get some action out of Abus. And then Pereira, of course, like I said, jumping around, flipping and shit. His last loss was to Anthony Hernandez by ground and pound back in October. Before that, he was on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-fight win streak. So he was on a tear until he met Anthony Hernandez and got TKO'd in round 5. So, I mean, he's looking to get back in that win column and get another streak going for sure. So I feel like this is going to be a good fight for the simple fact that you got both these guys who like to mix it up. And with Pereira looking to get back in the win column after that long winning streak and then taking an L, I think he's definitely hungry for another win. Abus trying to extend his win streak. So that should be a fun one there. Let's move on to one of the fights I'm really looking forward to, Giga Chikadze versus David Onama. Just watching both these guys fight, man. I mean, seems like a pretty damn good matchup. 15-4 overall for Chikadze, 13-2 for Onama. UFC records are 8-2 for Giga, 5-2 for Onama. Onama's never been KO, TKO'd, or submitted. He's got 7 wins in KO, TKOs, and 4 by sub, 2-2 by decision. So he doesn't get a lot of, his decisions don't go his way as much, but he is on a 3-fight win streak. So we got Giga, never been KO, TKO'd. So that's something there because they got similar wins, similar amount of wins in that category. Neither one of them have been knocked out. So that's interesting. Maybe one of them will go for it in this fight. Giga's been submitted once and has 1 win there as well. Like I said, Onama's never been submitted. So, and then 5-3 by decision for Giga, and he's coming off a loss. This is happening in the featherweight division. Let's look at Giga's last fights. His loss was to Arnold Allen, which is a tough ass opponent. Arnold Allen's been on a tear too lately. And that was a unanimous decision win there. Loss to Arnold Allen, I mean. Before that, he beat Alex Caceres by unanimous. He has gone to decision in his last few fights for Giga, but he's a fun guy to watch fight. He was on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-fight win streak. So he went 7-0 in the UFC before getting his first loss to Calvin Kattar. But his only losses have been by unanimous decision. So yeah, I mean, he's looking to get some finishes, or hopefully he's looking to get back and get another finish because it's been a minute since he has. So hopefully Giga put on a show against David Onama, who is coming off of a 3-fight win streak. Roberto Romero, Jonathan Pierce, and Gabriel Santos were those 3 fights. 2 of them were by unanimous decision. Santos was a performance of the night bonus win by TKO. And yeah, I mean, both these guys are coming off of fights by unanimous decision, whether they win or lose. So his last fight was, his last loss was to Nate Landwehr, Nate the Train, by majority decision. That was a fight of the night. So that was one of those crazy fights. I remember that one. It was entertaining as all hell. That's that picture at the bottom. Nate Landwehr was beat the fuck up, but he still got the win. So, I mean, Onama's definitely got some skills, and has a few performance of the night and fight of the night and stuff. So I think these two are going to put on a show. I'm excited for this fight. So I'll be definitely wanting to watch that one for sure. Next up, we have the co-main event, Anthony Smith versus Zhang Ming Yang or Ming Yang Zhang. You know, these names, you never know which way they go. They're said differently in different areas. So we'll go with Ming Yang Zhang. This is Anthony Smith's retirement fight. He talked about retiring in the past before. You know, his last couple fights have been a little weird. You know, he had his last fight after one of his coaches passed away, so he was like in a bad mental state against Dominic Reyes, and he's like telling him he's like, man, just hit me, I want to feel something. It's like, what? And then back when he fought Johnny Walker, was right after he had a home invasion type thing happen at his house, and the guy was all hopped up on some crazy drugs and wound up getting into a scuffle with him. And he said that, you know, the guy didn't look super physically imposing or nothing, and him being a professional fighter, he said he had trouble with the guy, you know, trying to wrestle him and shit. He's like, I think the guy probably did some wrestling in college or high school or something, because he had skills. But yeah, he told Johnny Walker in the cage, like, he yelled at him in the middle, like, I'm not gonna let you hurt my family. It's like, what? I think Anthony Smith has some issues mentally when it comes to being in the middle of the fight and facing adversity. He handles it in a weird way, I think. If you listen to him talk, like, he's been on podcasts. Obviously, he was on a podcast with Michael Bisping, which that was a weird exit as well. After his coach passed away, he just kind of disappeared from that podcast, and it just shows back up with a new podcast of his own. Didn't say anything to Bisping, just kind of bounced and said, you know, did a little Irish goodbye on him. So I don't think there's a real beef there or anything like that with it. I think Bisping kind of said, I understand, you know, he's in a weird mental state or whatever. But yeah, that was a weird thing that happened. So Smith does well on the desk, though. I mean, he's pretty good as an analyst for the most part, and he's doing well for himself there. So he has something to fall back on. So he's gonna make this his last fight, his retirement fight. He didn't want to go out on the weird loss that he had against Dominic Reyes, but Dominic looked damn good in that fight. As we know, he followed it up with another big win a couple weeks ago. So Dominic Reyes on the upswing, and I'm happy to see that. So yeah, Smith making his retirement fight against Ming Yang Zhang. As you can see, Anthony Smith is on a 2-fight losing streak, and Zhang is on a 2-fight winning streak. Why they would give Anthony Smith, a guy who's 10 years younger than him and coming off a 2-fight win streak, while Smith is on a 2-fight losing streak? That's a weird thing to me, especially for his retirement fight. It's like, I'm not saying give him a softball or you know, anything like that, but it's like, why are you gonna give the dude an undefeated fighter in the UFC? That's weird. I don't know. I don't get it. But regardless, Smith has had a bunch of fights. I mean, 37-21 overall in MMA, 13-11 in the UFC. I mean, almost a 500 record in the UFC. That's tough. 19-11 by KO TKO, 15-5 by sub, 3-5 by decision. So he's gotten KO TKO'd a lot with that 11 next to that number, but he has a lot of KOs there on his own, as well as double digits in subs. He is good on the ground. His submissions are great, but yeah, he doesn't win a lot by decision. So and then we got Zhang, who's 2-0 in the UFC, 18-6 overall, 12-3 by KO TKO, 6-2 by sub, but 0-1 by decision. So I mean, there's the opening for Smith, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping he comes out and gets a win. I mean, Zhang's just kind of started in the UFC. He's got plenty of time to bounce back. It's not that I really want to. I don't know much about Zhang. I haven't really followed him for his couple fights in UFC. But, you know, I'd like to see Smith be able to put it away in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, get out of there. I don't want to see him get knocked out again. You know, I think for his mental state and to really keep him in retirement and let him move on with his life. hopefully he can get a win, even if it's not like a spectacular one. Just let him go out on a win and move on, you know, just continue with the desk work and stuff like that. But we'll see, because Smith is just he's unpredictable as hell. Those 2 losses that he's coming off of is to Dominic Reyes and Roman Dolidze. Before that, a win over Vitor Petrino, where he looked pretty good in, because before that he got a pretty bad loss to Khalil Roundtree Jr. He beat Ryan Spann twice. So yeah, he's just so streaky, man. He's on a 2-fight losing streak now at 1 win, 1 loss, another win, and then before that was on a 3-fight losing streak. Before that was on a 3-fight winning streak. That's what I mean. You never know what you're going to get with Anthony Smith. It's tough he's not a guy to bet on, that's for damn sure, because you just don't know what mental state he's going to walk into that cage with. And then that's going to tell you how the fight's going to go. And if he's acting weird, shit, he's probably going to lose because that's just what he's shown and proven as of late. So we'll see what Anthony Smith has for Ming Yang Zhang. 2 fights in the UFC, won both of them by finish too. TKO finishes both in the first round. So this could be over early, because these are also performance of the nights for Zhang. The wins were over Bretson Ribeiro and Ozzy Diaz. Both first round finishes by TKO. That doesn't look good for Anthony Smith, because if he comes out fighting like he has been recently, not a good sign. And that might mean he does not go out on a good note from the UFC. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Here's those couple fights from Zhang, with that ground and pound finish there, and the just a big punch on the top one. I don't know where I was going with that. I lost track. Let's get to the main event and wrap it up. We got Ian Machado Gary versus Carlos Prates. I am excited for this fight because I like Gary and I like Prates. My only thing is, you know, we've seen Gary kind of give the maybe not more mediocre type fight, you know, like not really being the flashy striker that we've seen him be in the past. I mean, we know he's got a good ground game with good submissions and stuff too, but we've also seen him with the, like, you know, the long kicks, the crazy kicks. He's a lengthy guy, so he definitely has that going for him. And I mean, he was just pretty flashy and entertaining in the beginning, and he seemed to calm it down a little bit and be a little more tactical and technical. But Prates is just a wild boy, just smoking fucking cigarettes during training camp and before fights and shit. But I mean, he's part of the Fighting Nerds, and they all have their own special little thing, and that's definitely one of his. Everybody talks about it. It's kind of funny to think about being an elite athlete like that and yet smoking like half a pack a day or some shit, I think he said, which is nuts. But and then to still be in that condition too. But you don't see that. You don't see any effects of that during the fights, at least not since he's been in the UFC. He's 4-0 in the UFC, and Ian Machado Gary just lost his O in his last fight against Shavkat. So, you know, he was used to being undefeated, being that that crazy up and comer. But he definitely had a hard fight against Michael Venom Page, and then lost to Shavkat. So he's never been KO'd or TKO'd. But look at Prates, man. 16 KO TKO wins and only 2 losses. Gary has 7 wins there. He also has 1 win by submission and never been submitted either. Now, that's interesting. He's got O's in those 2 categories, while Prates has been KO TKO'd and submitted before, but he's 3-3 by submissions and 2-1 by decision, and Gary is 7-1 by decision. So that 1 loss is a decision loss to Shavkat, as we know. This is a welterweight fight for the main event. Let's take a look at Ian Gary. Some of those strikes that I was talking about with the big kicks. You know, that big head kick to D-Rod, man. That shit was insane. That's what I'm talking about. When he was like super fucking aggressive and flashy and throwing the big kicks and stuff, using his length. and he got that big head kick over D-Rod. It's almost like the higher competition that he starts facing, the more careful he is, which makes sense, right? That's kind of what you want to do. But people get upset with that because they're so used to seeing the hyperactive, just chaotic fights that he was involved with that. Look at that big knee against Jeff Neal, stuff like that, especially with all the overconfident and big talk that he has. But he's proved it quite a bit in the UFC. So I mean, you can't really down talk on him. I know people like to say fraud check and all that bullshit, but I mean, come on, he lost to one guy who is in contention for the possible title fight soon. So I mean, Shavkat, come on, that's a tough ass opponent, and not a lot of people beat him. So yeah, that's his last fight. I mean, Shavkat's undefeated. As I'm saying that, I realize he's undefeated. So that was his last fight. Got the unanimous decision win over MVP. Before that, split decision win, even though he landed this big knee on Jeff Neal. And then he beat Neil Magny by unanimous decision. That's another one, he kind of put on a show with Neil Magny a little bit here and there. But for the most part, I mean, he didn't get the finish, and that's when people started kind of wondering. But he had the big head kick to D-Rod, finished Keenan's song. He had a couple other decisions earlier in his career in the UFC too. So I mean, he hasn't had all finishes, but he's usually entertaining, and he's just been seemingly like slowing it down a little bit and being a little more technical. And you can't really blame him for that when he's on the title run. Trying to get himself in contention for that title. He's saying that he one more fight, couple more fights. He's thinking after this fight with Prates, he should definitely get the title. Prates is thinking the same thing, fighting against Gary. So we'll see if this is somewhat of a title eliminator. Hasn't really been said out loud like that, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes with that. Prates 4-0 in the UFC. With wins over Neil Magny as well, but he finished Neil Magny. That was his last fight. Round 1 finish by TKO. He finished the Leech as well in round 2 by the same thing, a left hook. Li Jingliang. All of his fights have had bonuses. Performance of the night for all 4 of his fights in the UFC. His first fight was against Trevin Giles. That was a TKO win as well. Chuck Buffalo, he beat Charles Radke by TKO. 2 of those fights were in the first round, and look at those big knees there, and then the big punches and a kick there. But yeah, two were in round 1, 2 were in round 2. It does not look like he really goes into anything past the second round for most of his fights. You have to go all the way back to 2021, fighting in SFT combat. He went to the 5th round and still got the finish by KO TKO there. That was a modified rules kickboxing match. So yeah, it's a little bit different than MMA, right? Because yeah, there's no like wrestling or grappling, but still, I mean, he's gone to a 5th round before. It's just not recently. All of his fights recently have been 1st or 2nd round. So we'll see if Ian Gary can take him to deep waters and maybe test that cardio. That might be a way for Gary to get a big win against Carlos Prates, being undefeated. He might want to take that O if he can get him into those deep waters and take advantage. So I feel like it's going to be a great fight. I'm excited for this one. There's a few different fights on this card that I'm pretty excited for. So I'm just waiting for Saturday so we can get this going. It's going to be a good fight night happening in Kansas City. Let's see, Arizona time. Let me check and see what I don't know why it's not popping up for me like always. There it is. 6 p.m. for the main card will be the start time. 3 p.m. for the prelims. So Arizona time, it'll be 3 o'clock for the prelims, 6 o'clock for the main card. Should be a fun one in Kansas City. Last thing on the agenda here will be the fight wheel. We got to pick some fights. Let's see. I didn't do that. Let's see. The fight wheel did not do that well for UFC 314. I didn't get a chance to go over those. Let's see. The prediction for the main event with Volk and Lopez, we got that one right. Volkanovski winning. The fight wheel thought Bryce Mitchell would beat John Silva. That's incorrect. Said Michael Chandler would beat Paddy Pimblett. That was incorrect. Said Yair would beat Pitbull. That was correct. And then saying that Krylov would beat Dominic Reyes, and that was incorrect. So 2 out of 5, not great. But before that, the fight wheel wasn't doing too bad. So let's get into this and pick some fights here real quick. I don't pick them because I suck at picking fights. I think I overthink it, and then if I put money on it, it's even worse. So I stick to the fight wheel. This is something I started a few shows ago. I kind of like doing it, just something interesting, a little bit different. So we'll see what the fight wheel has for us for UFC Kansas City, happening on Saturday. And it's going to start with Andre Muniz getting a win over Ikram Aliskerov to start the night. Coincidentally, that's actually the first fight of the night. So Andre Muniz will beat Ikram Aliskerov. Let's see who we got next. Ooh, Carlos Prates keeping that undefeated record according to the fight wheel, beating Ian Machado Gary. That's interesting, just because I am a little back and forth on that one. I'm not sure. I don't really have a pick on that one, man, because that's just a tough one. I like them both. I think Ian Gary's had a tougher fight schedule, tougher opponents, and also has more octagon there. But thanks, Infinity. But yeah, I mean, Prates definitely has what it takes to beat Gary, I think. So it's not that far-fetched. So the fight wheel predicts that Prates will beat Gary in the main event. Next up, we got Michel Pereira getting back in that win column, beating Abus Magomedov. So there's that. That should be a fun fight, I think. And yeah, seeing Michel Pereira maybe go back on another long win streak. Let's see, a few more fights. What do we got next for UFC Kansas City? Nicholas Dalby getting the win over Rude Boy Randy Brown. That's possible, but Randy Brown is a tough ass opponent, so that might be a toss up there. We'll see if the fight wheel's correct. All right, last 2 fights. Here we go. Who do we got? David Onama getting a win over Giga Jikadze. Not a bad pick. Definitely a possibility on that one. That's another one of those fights that I think is kind of a toss-up. So that's interesting. Onama for the win, according to the fight wheel. And let's see, the last fight, Anthony Smith versus Ming Yang Zhang. Let's see what we got. Ming Yang Zhang continuing his undefeated record, beating Anthony Smith, according to the fight wheel, in his retirement fight too. So that's tough. But unfortunately, with what I've seen from Zhang, it's not that far-fetched, and it's more of a possibility than anything. But Anthony Smith likes to come out and surprise people sometimes. So you never know what you're going to get with Anthony Smith. I know I'm repeating myself here, but that is the truth. So that wraps it up. There's your fight wheel predictions. We got Anthony Muniz, Carlos Prates, Michel Pereira, Nicholas Dalby, David Onama, and Ming Yang Zhang getting the wins according to the fight wheel. So do what you will with that info. It's not my picks. It's the fight wheel picks. It's random. That's a good thing. So don't blame me. Just blame the wheel, and the wheel can take it. Bet on it. Don't bet on it. Just see if the wheel is correct when you watch the fights on Saturday. Should be fun. So thanks, Infinity, for joining in and entertaining me as well. Sorry, I can't talk. I think I'm about done. Thanks again to everybody else who joined in. Clark, 305 Chunks, MMA Foo. Thank you guys for joining in. Come back next Thursday. My wife was in here too at one point. But yeah, come back next Thursday. We'll recap UFC Kansas City, Machado Gary versus Prates. And then next up, we have Corey Sandhagen versus Davison Figueiredo. And RDR, Rainier de Ritter versus Bo Nickel. That should be a damn fun fight. And then Ponzinibbio versus Daniel Rodriguez. Yeah, those are some pretty decent fights. Jeremy Stevens coming back on that card too. So that is Des Moines, Iowa, I believe. So that's happening May 3rd. That'll be the next event. So I will be previewing that one. We'll be recapping this fight. So yeah, check it out. The boxing match as well. Fatal Fury. We got Chris Eubank Jr. versus Connor Benn happening this weekend as well. Go check those out. Enjoy the fights. That's it for me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate everybody in the chat and all the support. Take it easy. I'm out of here. Peace.